We're already live, you idiot. Yeah,
Oh,
nice of you to change your view.
yeah, I know. I thought I'll sit in front of the kitchen because I have a lot of kitchen work to finish. It's just been a crazy few days with the Olympics and all the cricket starting and all that.
And so many media appearances, which is why you're late today. Yes, I know
Well,
it. Sorry, you're just so in demand.
all right. Yeah, I mean, already people are celebrating the fact that I've been kicked out of this show, but haha, I'm back.
Okay, let's just roll the bumper and get on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Ridiculous. We're on a bit of a clock today, so we're probably just going to get right into it, aren't we? There's been a hell of a lot going on this week. We've already got some comments coming in, so remember, if you have some nominations for good, bad, or ridiculous, please do just drop them into the chat, and we will get through as many as we possibly can. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, thank you, Bharat, for fitting me into your busy schedule. Well, let's just start with Ram Prasad, because he's been on there early to say ridiculous. Matthew Wade and Ashton Agar dismissals. Of course, the Bangladesh-Australia series. Yay, well done, Bangladesh. Not an upset, well-deserved victory. You can take your pick. There were some ridiculous dismissals, some bad dismissals. There were some good dismissals that were a result of good bowling as well. But, it was a pretty dismal performance overall by Australia's batters, who just couldn't. It wasn't even turning that much, Bharat. It was just enough turn. I think they were having as much trouble dealing with the cutters as they were the slower balls, but they had real trouble picking up the pace and the low bounce of that pitch.
Yeah, they didn't seem ready for that game in some strange way. And I'm not making an excuse for Australia. It almost felt like, especially the batsmen or the batters, they looked a little lost. And you're right. I mean, they were playing most of the bowling in their head. And it says a lot about how Australia played T20 cricket, right? It's about templates. It's about just picking players who they think are good in other formats, or they just bank on. They're like, he's going to do this for us. And that's how they batted yesterday. You go to Bangladesh, the pitch is going to turn, it's going to grip, it's going to turn square. And that's why they were getting out playing atrocious shots to balls that did not turn, because they were following the template that they've heard maybe on the flight there, or in training, and which says a lot about how Australia are playing T20 cricket at the moment.
Yeah, particularly that Alex Carey dismissal was a prime example of that, I think. It looks pretty grim. Just a little comment there from Vinay GL saying, so-called experience looked like amateur T20 play. And you're right. Matthew Wade before, remember we were on the Zoom call, and he was saying all the things that you expect a captain to say, but I did ask him about that series and against West Indies, and he put a lot down to rustiness and them not having played before, and they can't use that as an excuse or a reason for this tour. They've had 5 T20s, 3 ODIs generally as a group. That's a reasonable run of white ball games, so they can't use that for this. And I just think it's a real shame, and it's definitely a bad thing that it's so difficult to watch it in Australia, because I love watching Bangladesh, and they've been treated badly by Australia, and they should be on TV in Australia.
Oh yeah, and the only thing about watching them on YouTube with a VPN is you find a lot of interesting ads that pop up, like some biblical, some not so biblical.
I think they need some biblical help at the moment. There's also Hitesh Moria says, World Test Championship kicks off today, but I wonder what has happened to the killer batting of Australia. Well, there's a T20. There's not a lot of, and you can't just keep pointing to the players who are missing, because Bangladesh had some key players missing as well. They didn't have Mushfiqur Rahim. They didn't have Tamim Iqbal.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, of course, India and England. Doesn't it just seem like they only played like the other day?
Yeah, and it feels like it was only yesterday that India were touring England because that's the thing with these India tours of Australia and England. Right. Honestly, I'm glad I'm not covering that series because it's so difficult to write about them because the players who went in 2018 are pretty much the same. The whole drama about, oh, this is India's best chance to win in England. Well, we said that about India in 2018. We said that about India in 2014, and they did not win. And here we are back in 2021. And again, it's India's best chance to win in England. Like, because we are in 2021, I would have said the same in 2018. I think it is India's best chance to win in England, just because how, the killer batting of Australia, Hitesh talks about. Yeah, I don't know whether England know who their batsmen are anymore. Ben Stokes having taken a break, and it even there's a bigger hole in their batting lineup, especially at the top. I mean, once you get into the Joe Roots and Bairstows and Butler, at least there's some sort of, at least a semblance of security. Otherwise, it's I forgot that it's also the start of the next World Test Championship cycle. Yeah, we're just getting used to it, aren't we? Yeah. So, but yeah, India, England. I know for a fact that Akshar Patel is not going to open the bowling. That's the only thing I know. Apart from that, it's going to the result could well mirror what happened in India.
That's true. I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because there's a comment from Shivam Yadav who says, Mel, give us some swimmers and we will send some cricketers.
Not bad. That's really good.
Yeah, the Australia swimmers have done really well. Pranjal Sethi says, hey, Bharat and Mel, been a while. Do you think England's batting will hold up on those green pitches against Bumrah and co? It's a really good point. I suspect that this might be another series that we see in England where the bowling dominates batting. I think India have more certainty around their batting. There's, it looks like a few changes might be sort of coming into the side from certainly the last time they played England as suits the conditions. But I just think the experience in both sides when it comes to bowling and the strength that they've both got in the swing and pace even will do them in really good stead. It's like so many teams. I think it's just a real trend in Test cricket at the moment is that we are seeing a lot of really good bowling attacks. But you look around the world, a lot of teams and they struggle with those top sort of four positions probably more than anything.
Yeah, and I think I'm totally with you there. And because of that, Mel, England's best chance is actually to give them green tracks so that you really give your bowlers that chance to win you the match, because you can't trust your batting. It's a fact. I mean, apart from Root, even, if you talk of Bairstow and Butler, you're not talking about Joe Roots there. They're not in that same caliber or even a Ben Stokes caliber. So when you have a batting lineup like that, when you're not sure about your batting, the best way is to give green tracks, even if you get bowled out for T20, which is what New Zealand do very, very well when they play cricket at home. So, so that even say you get put in, you get bowled out for T20, there's enough in the pitch for your bowlers to then make that T20 look, 220 look like 320 and defend it and bring you back into the game. So I see that being the best option, because it's going to be difficult against Bumrah and co. Bumrah may have looked a little off against New Zealand in that World Test Championship final, but just knowing how he is in terms of being a rhythm bowler, he should be in much better rhythm. Some talk of Siraj playing as well. So India is spoiled for options in that fast bowling department. To a smaller extent, so are England. So it's going to be a bowler series once again. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think so. And just a comment there from Vaibhav Gupta saying, compared to 2018, the lack of Hardik Pandya and Ben Stokes might mean a bit of a challenge to get the right balance for both England and India. That is a great point. I know, obviously, there'll be pressure on Sam Curran, I think, to take that role. Ollie Robinson can bat, England might be tempted to play an extra because just, they could go with a five-man bowling attack. I don't know, because they've got that bit of extra batting in there as well. Just also, look, let's just go back to the T20, because I've got a couple of comments there. One from Gurujita. I'll throw these over to you, Bharat. Gurudutta Acharya says Justin Langer should quit as coach, not selecting right players for the T20. So throw that up there. And also one from Mudit Agarwal saying, hey guys, should Australia be concerned by the lack of batting depth they have, especially in the limited overs? Recently, it seems Australia only ever wins due to their bowling. And also the direct hit saying, just hypothetically, could Smith be an asset on spinning tracks as he plays spin the best?
Three very good points. I mean, I wouldn't say Justin Langer should be sacked as coach, but he does need some help around him for T20 cricket. Yes, you have Andrew McDonald, who's coached around the world, but I think you're seeing a tactical. I wouldn't say a vacuum, but there is need for more tactical help for Justin Langer, and that should really help. Coming to, so I don't think he needs to be sacked for sure, but like just add something, someone.
But it might be a case, some countries do split their white ball and red ball coaches, and I don't think you should look on it as being sacked. They're just,
exactly.
Maybe there's like a Ricky Ponting or someone like that who might be better just to focus on that, because part of the problem is they say they want to win T20 games, but they're not devoting the focus to it.
Exactly. Absolutely right. Yeah. So someone who's focused only on the T20 game, maybe. And because in Australia, unlike a lot of other countries, the coach also acts as a selector, it helps as well, because that doesn't happen in India. Now in England, the coach is the selector. But yeah, to come to Mudit's point as well, there is a lack of batting depth. The fact that only two specialist batsmen have central contracts just should tell you that. I mean, maybe there seem to be more options in red ball cricket, but in white ball cricket, Mitchell Marsh is allowed to make so many comebacks, and as a batting all-rounder, as a top-order batsman, tells you that not enough younger batsmen are knocking the door down. Josh Philippe, so much hype around him after the BBL. We've seen him in the IPL. We've seen him now for Australia. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he has a lot more to show, but we've not seen that impact as yet. And Steve Smith, actually seeing this batting lineup, in fact, after West Indies, I thought it's not a bad thing that Steve Smith missed out. Now Mitchell Marsh comes in and he can take over. But having seen how they went in Bangladesh and on some of those low slow pitches in the West Indies, they might need Steve Smith, maybe not at number 3, but at number 5. Like, just in case there is some sort of collapse, at least he can take them to a 130 or a 140 and then bring the bowlers into the game. So yeah, it's changing. Oh no, maybe even a Marnus, he's scored a lot of T20 good runs in T20 cricket in recent times in England. So someone like a Steve Smith or a Marnus in the middle order play spin, not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, but it might depend on fitness. That's a big thing for Steve Smith and that elbow injury. And yeah. I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know what the team is really, and I don't know if Australia do either. Look, we've actually got to have a shorter show today, which most shows go for like 10 to 15 minutes. We end up talking for ages, but we will have some back to normal service normally. But I just want to point out one really important thing from Harish Kumar, who says Mel is having a great hair day as opposing to the Oz team having a pretty bad day. Yeah, so usually your hair gets the mention, so that's just what I say.
Oh, that's fine. You can have. Yeah.
So the time has come. We haven't really had lots of nominations as such. That's because we're disorganized. But we still have the sting, and you can still choose. So it is time for the goodest thing of the week.
I'm going to.
I'm going to what?
Well, I'm out of touch. I forgot about that beautiful, little my fairy wings. No, I'm actually going to pick Shivam Yadav's nomination as the best thing of the day. Yeah, because we've seen a lot of swimming medals come Australia's way in the last week or so, and he's absolutely right about if we can send a few swimmers to India and they can send a few batsmen. I think there are enough bowlers in Australia. It's just a couple of batsmen from India who are doing so well. I don't know, maybe a Devdutt Padikkal would work perfectly in Australia. He likes the short ball as well. So I'm going to pick that nomination to be the best nomination and the best thing that's happened in cricket in the last week.
Oh no, I'm giving it to Bangladesh for beating Australia for the first time in T20s, because I think that's amazing. But I bow to your wisdom. What is the baddest thing of the week? Here it comes. Here it comes.
Why does the devil have one finger? Okay, anyway, that's a topic for another day. The baddest thing of the week, I think, has been the fact that Australia is playing a series in Bangladesh after quite a long time. You're getting to see Stark and Hazelwood in Australia. I mean, people outside Australia are getting to see them, because if there's a schedule out for an Australia-Bangladesh series in the USA, and it doesn't exist in Australia, it's pretty sad. It's pretty bad. I mean, I know when Dan Brettig wrote that story, both you and I thought, yeah, but somebody will come through and we will get to see it on TV. And then last night, to see Aaron Finch of all people, T20 captain, saying, "Hey, I want to see these guys." Like, yeah. And I loved Andrew McGlashan's tweet about, imagine you're someone who's trying to impress the captain, and you're like, you make a 70 and you're like, I hope Finchy saw that, and you're like, no, Finchy couldn't see that. So it's I think it's pretty poor. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely terrible. And the most ridiculousest thing of the week, here it comes.
we were supposed to go and buy those things anyway. We need to do that. Yeah, go to Spotlight and before we come to ridiculous, I agree with the direct hit. Dwayne Bravo not getting to play his last T20i in West Indies is bad, but it kind of sums up his career, right? Like, he's a West Indian player, then he's not a West Indian player, and then he's come back to be a West Indian. So that's just it. It just is apt that he couldn't get to play that final match. It's the story of his career. But the most ridiculous thing for me, Mel, is the lack of build-up to this India-England series. You're talking India-England. It's not, and no offense to an India-Sri Lanka series, but it's just that India go to Sri Lanka so often, and that rivalry gets talked about so much. But the fact that it's a big India-England series, the start of a World Test Championship cycle. India have been in England. They lost that World Test Championship final, as we well know. And in a year where they have beaten Australia, best chance to win there. But no, talk about it. Lawrence Booth tweeted about it a few days back, even in India. And it has a lot to do with the Olympics, which I'm saying it's ridiculously good that that's happening, right? It's interesting that the test match starts today at 7:30 Adelaide time. And half an hour into the test match, the Indian women's hockey team play Argentina in a big semi-final at the Olympics. And if they win that, imagine, like, they're going to get, they're definitely going to get a silver guaranteed, and then they play the final and hope for gold. So it's just one of the most significant moments in Indian sporting history. What's going to happen there? And I want to know how many of you watching here are going to leave the cricket after the first half an hour and go and watch the hockey. I know there'll be some who will be hoping that India bat and they're 30 for 3 and then they can go watch the hockey as an excuse. But but it's how everyone's like just focused on the Olympics, on everything else but this series. But I'm sure it'll change.
Sorry, I've got to wind you up because we've got to get off soon. I think that it might also be to do with a little thing called the 100 taking up a lot of cricket oxygen in the UK as well. That might have helped things there. Thank you all so much for joining us. That is Good, Bad, Ridiculous for today. We're sorry we were a little bit rushed, but we're going to lose our producer, so we have to get off now. But please send us in your nominations if you see things about the series in Bangladesh or in England or anything else in the world of cricket. Please do send us your Good, Bad nominations, ridiculous nominations. Include the hashtag, and we will see you very, very soon.